Afternoon. Before we begin, I want to remind the committee members and members of the public to follow our code of conduct for meetings. This includes commenting on a specific agenda item only and addressing the full body. Public speakers will not engage in a conversation with committee members, and all members of the committee, staff, and the public are expected to refrain from abusive language. Failure to comply with the code of conduct, which will disturb, disrupt, or impede the orderly conduct of this meeting, will result in removal from the meeting. And with that, the meeting of the Neighborhood Services and Education Committee will now come to order. Can the clerk please call the roll?
Candelas.
Here.
Torres.
Here.
Duan.
Here.
Ortiz.
Present.
And Davis.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We will move on. There's nothing on item B. So for item C, the consent calendar, are there any comments from the public on the consent calendar?
There are no hands up.
Okay. And if there are no members of the committee who would like to speak on this item, I am looking for a motion.
Move approval. Second.
Can we have the vote, please?
Candelas.
Yes.
Torres.
Yes.
Duan.
Yes.
Ortiz.
Aye.
And Davis.
Yes. Thank you. That moves us on to item D, reports to committee. We have one report today, the San Jose Learns Program Annual Report. And Jill Bourne, our city librarian, will lead us off.
Thank you. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Jill Bourne. I'm a city librarian, and today I'm joining you with Lauren Hancock. Thank you, the Community Programs Administrator for the Expanded Learning section of our education work. Today we're going to provide an update on SJ Learn's grant programs, but also the work that we do with after-school providers and local education agencies. Oh, I went to the end. Thank you. No, fastest report ever. Okay, second slide, please. Oh, there we go. Okay, so just to give some context, on May 7th, 2018, I think we went back too many. Okay, City Council unanimously approved the Education and Digital Literacy Strategy and designated the library as the lead department with direction to devise and implement a comprehensive educational policy and work plan for the following educational development areas: early education learning, learning by grade level proficiency, pathways to post-academic success, digital literacy, and also to consider how education could be prioritized appropriately by the city through policy and governance. The action plan for each area reflects the principles of piloting ideas with partners and using agile work streams, demonstrating a bias towards action and a commitment to quality assessment, data collection, and analysis of program effectiveness and impact. All efforts are intentionally learner-centered and grounded in our commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion. So grade level proficiency impacts San Jose students across all neighborhoods, and third grade proficiency in English language arts and mathematics has proven to be one of the leading indicators of later academic success across all demographics. San Jose Learns, or SJ Learns, was developed as a city grant program associated with learning at grade level proficiency. expanding educational opportunities beyond the school day. The SJ Learns grant program provides funding to promising and innovative expanded learning programs that serve San Jose Public School students in transitional kindergarten through third grade, in full partnership with schools and school districts. Programs that are eligible for grant funds must serve students most at risk of not reaching proficiency in English language arts or math by the end of third grade. Through the implementation of SJ Learns, there has been a significant progress towards many of the other action items listed on this slide, which were originally established by City Council with the adoption of the Education and Digital Literacy Strategy. And they are outlined in the memorandum and will be presented today. So now to discuss San Jose Learns in more detail, Lauren Hancock will take over.
Thanks, Joe.
There you go. Turn it on.
I can turn on?
Mm-hmm.
We won't echo. We're good. Perfect. Good afternoon, council members. I'm Lauren Hancock, and I oversee the Expanded Learning Unit with the San Jose Public Library. The San Jose Learns program is a city-directed, city-funded grant-making initiative which aims to bolster academic achievement among our youngest learners. It does provide local education agencies with resources that leverage their own out-of-school time budget as well as that of any provider it selects with a one-to-one match requirement, ensuring learning outcomes are met with the goal of increasing the number of students attending high-quality out-of-school time programs. In fiscal year 2018-2019, the SJ Learns Committee developed a theory of change, seen on the slide, to guide decision-making and grant priorities. In addition to the theory of change, the committee identified whole child learning, collaboration, family engagement, and continuous quality improvement, thank you, as additional priorities. The additional priorities are used when awarding funds and measuring success among our grantees. More information can be found in the memo and packet submitted as part of this presentation. Building on the theory of change, in July of 2019, Social Policy Research Associates led the development of a logic model to further assist our grant-making decisions, our program assessments, and reporting. As stated in the theory of change, SJ Learns will support low-income families of San Jose by developing innovative and ongoing opportunities that strengthen the pathways beyond the school day for our youngest students to thrive. Key long-term outcomes for the logic model include a focus on community and supporting expanded learning programs with funding demands, making sure that students have access to the programs, a focus on programs that programs engage in program quality assessment and improvement, that they partner with their with their schools and their programs in a shared vision of goal setting and program implementation, that they focus on families and they trust their schools and their program providers, that the families have agency over their child's education and support a college and career mindset. And also just to focus on students, that they will graduate from high school, identify as lifelong learners, and are ready for college and career. Since the library began administering, oh, this is you, sorry.
That's okay. So we're going to talk about funding. Since the library began administering SJ Learns in 2018, the demand from our school partners has consistently outpaced the funding available, even as the city required a one-to-one match for all grantees and invested significant funding into this program. It is clear that, especially in our post-COVID reality, the need to fund high-quality, expanded learning programs has only grown. The city has prioritized and increased our investment over time, acknowledging that both the need and importance are very high. The results have been encouraging since the inception of the program, and there is continued room for growth in this space. More information on the exact budget and award details can be found in the packet and are included in the presentation.
Launched in 2018, the Expanded Learning, keep going, okay. Launched in 2018, the Expanded Learning Community of Practice is SJ Learns Collaborative Heartbeat. This network has over 25 active members representing grantees from all funders and is offered in partnership with the Shortino Family Foundation, Region 5 Expanded Learning from the state of California, and Cisco Impact Grants. The community of practice fosters a dynamic learning environment where peer organizations can share insight, solve problems, set standards, and build deep, lasting relationships. The group meets quarterly and is managed by library staff. Next slide.
I'm trying.
Okay. There we go. Since March 2021, the Community of Practice has held and convened an ad hoc committee in partnership with Social Policy Research and funded by Cisco Impact Grants. This work focuses on social emotional learning with a goal to demonstrate the collective impact of expanded learning programs in the Bay Area and beyond. Work in this area will continue into fall 2023 with SJPLF, our library foundation, receiving an additional $130,000 grant from Cisco Impact Grants to continue the vital work. In spring 2021, SJ Learns solidified a partnership with the Santa Clara County Office of Education's DATAZONE. DATAZONE offers low-cost data warehousing, allowing data across multiple districts to better visualize data and inform our decision-making process. During each grant report period, DataZone collects program data from grantees, extracting student demographic and assessment data, creates de-identified reports for SJ Learns for us to use in alignment with evaluation activities, allowing for a far deeper understanding of student progress across the city. Data is pulled twice annually in January and July of each year. After the data is pulled, SJ Learns and SPR staff analyze the results and work continuously to improve the overall process.
Since 2018, the Library Foundation has contracted with Social Policy Research to serve as the external evaluator for the SJ Learns grant program. The aim of this 2022 evaluation was to also look retrospectively at the program accomplishments to date, so essentially a 5-year retrospective. SPR's evaluation shifted its focus from reporting on the progress made over a single year to expanding on the program's progress since we assumed leadership of the program in 2018. The next 2 slides briefly touch on the key accomplishments and recommendations. However, there is more detail on SPR's findings provided in the staff report and attachments. So as part of the retrospective evaluation, analysis was performed related to student participants. Highlighted on this slide are a few of the findings associated with the goals of the grant. Notably, half of the students participating are English learners. Additionally, since 2018, 68% of the students are from low socioeconomic households, and 87% of the students identified as BIPOC, 72% as Hispanic, 12% as Asian, and 3% as Black or African American. And as required by the grant, all program participants are at risk of not reaching proficiency in English language arts or math by the end of 3rd grade. And in academic year 21-22, the most recent assessed year, 84% of students grew or maintained grade skill level in mathematics, and 82% of students grew and maintained skill level in English language arts. The full details are provided in your materials as well.
As part of the report and logic model, additional findings associated with those key outcomes are highlighted. To achieve these outcomes related to community, programs use the same or complementary learning strategies and curricula that were offered during the school day. Some programs and schools shared their staff. Others hired school day staff to serve in after-school or summer roles. And some program staff were hired as substitute teachers to provide support during the school day. To achieve program-related outcomes, programs focused on training staff guided by the expanded learning quality standards, using tool alignment with the program standards, and adopted a more universal learning assessment in association with their schools. To achieve family-related outcomes, SPR reported that schools and providers prioritized communicating information related to academic progress and social emotional well-being, as well as providing families with access to parent education and community resources. Families also reported feeling safe and supported by their expanded learning providers, and that they gained access to community resources that they had, and that they had a connection to school staff.
Okay, provided here is just an award distribution summary of grantees to date. SJ Learns funds local education agencies that serve a high proportion of students from low-income backgrounds and English language learners, serve a higher percentage of students who qualify for free and reduced meals, identify a clear plan to recruit students who do not meet or are at risk of not meeting grade level standards, demonstrate an enhanced commitment and innovative approach to implementing San Jose Learn strategies and priorities, include both summer and academic year expanded learning programs, and focus on student achievement in mathematics and English language arts. So moving forward with San Jose Learns, staff will continue to implement the program and incorporate any feedback provided by the committee. Additionally, staff will continue to implement and lead the community of practice in service of the expanded learning action items. Working with the San Jose Learns Committee and Innovate Public Schools, the program evaluation will be provided for the first round of grantees in the ARP-funded tutoring expansion grant program in fall of 2023. And then as 2024, the tutoring expansion grant program will be completely expended and will conclude unless additional funding is allocated. And then as outlined in the memo is a connection with another program, Resilience Corps Learning Pathways, and participants will continue to be placed with host partner organizations, which include San Jose Learns grantees. In the upcoming academic year, staff will identify gaps in staffing and at grantee locations and work with the grantees to meet those needs. And then finally, as the Children and Youth Services Master Plan is being developed with policy and programming recommendations, library staff will ensure that San Jose Learns program goals and outcomes are in alignment with the Children and Youth Master Plan. That concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for your time. We are happy to take any questions that you have.
Thank you very much for the presentation. And I will go to my colleagues. Councilmember Torres?
Are we going to do public comment?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Public
okay.
comment.
Okay. Blair?
Hi, Blair Beekman. I haven't heard of this item before, so it was interesting to hear, and it sounds like you're trying to do a lot with it. Thank you for it, and good luck on how you'll talk about it at council time. Thank you.
Does that conclude
to the
public
committee.
comment? Thank you. Councilmember Torres?
Great, thank you. So I definitely love how one of the main missions is closing the opportunity gap that we have, unfortunately, right? I also like to call it, where these programs, these after-school programs, these enrichment programs are destroying the cradle to prison pipeline that we see amongst many of our, BIPOC urban youth. And so, as a former rec leader for what was the old San Jose Learns, by the way, that's why I love that I sit on this committee, but also love that I now able to provide more funding for programs like these, because they work, right? They're groundbreaking, they're important, they help our youth and our students succeed. But I did see a few things that we can potentially work on, and it's obviously, I don't like to sound cliche, but it all takes a village, right? We can't do this alone. And so when you put up the slide on private funding or private donors, there were some years where it was absolutely zero, and come on, Google, come on, Cisco. I know you all have money that you can provide for our youth, so I think that as a city, we need to be a little bit more aggressive with some of these high-tech companies, because on the other slide that you showed, right, we are working with youth who are not English proficient, or right, struggling with math and science, right? And if we really want our youth from Washington, from McKinley Bonita, from Northside, to continue to live in the city, right? They need to be proficient in math and science, right? With this area being a high-tech hub. And so how do we, maybe that's the million-dollar question for all of us, because we continue to ask corporations to step up Some do, some don't. How do we get more private investment into youth and families, especially in programs like San Jose Learns?
Thank you for the question. I think that to your question, one of the reasons that we have always prioritized data and being able to report on really clear outcomes for this program is to be able to make that use case to show that this is a program that works and that it is fully bought in by the school districts or the local education agencies, and that the city has consistently supported it financially as well. To my knowledge, it hasn't been necessarily the target of a major philanthropic funding support campaign. It just happens that, our Library Foundation raises money for a lot of things, and San Jose Learns has been, has gotten some attention from some funders. But that's certainly something that we could focus on in the future.
Great. I know I think I've asked this a few times, and maybe Angel, maybe you can answer it. Do we have a dedicated person just seeking grants or private funding for programs like San Jose Learns or other youth and family programs?
Councilmember, so that function usually gets absorbed by departments on kind of an as-needed basis, but we don't actually have staff specifically called out to do that. We have been pretty successful in raising funds, but usually it's a collateral duty that someone does. But having said that, one of the reasons for really advancing and developing the Children Youth Master Plan is to present it almost as an investment portfolio.
Okay.
Because you're absolutely right. There's a lot of wealth that we have not tapped into. And a lot of the feedback that we usually get is, I want to see a plan for how this would work. And that's precisely the thinking behind, hey, let's put together this Children Youth Master Plan. Let's show various opportunities and options for investment. And then let's call the question. And we are convening community philanthropy, private sector, and I think it warrants a real good call to action to say, hey, look, we talk a lot of good talk about serving children, youth, and families. Here's a forum now that you could invest in, and so that's one of the intended plans.
Great. No, I think that's important. So thank you very much, Angel. The other one is in one of the slides, I saw that San Jose Unified School District is not one of our participants, and since many of us share that school district on this dais, why is there a reason why San Jose Unified School District didn't apply for any of these grants? Because I know that at Washington and McKinley, I think it's Choral Catholic Charities, so they might be funded via our other amazing programs that we have.
So they had been grantees earlier on in the program prior to the assessment years, and so we could follow up with them to find out the reasons for not applying, but they haven't applied in the last few years.
Okay.
There was some transition as we worked with we mentioned the DATAZONE, and it's described more in the memorandum, but requiring certain levels of data reporting and that sort of thing. We've had to do a lot of work with schools to help them participate and make sure that we're not being exclusive.
Okay, and I think this would we would all continue to do the good work that this program is doing if we reconvene the School City Collaborative. Where are we in that, Jill? In the School City Collaborative, I know that before I left D5, we met consistently, and then now I've been here for almost 10 years. Just kidding. I've been here for almost a year, and we haven't. It's felt like 10 years. We haven't met at all, and I think we haven't met since 2017, 2018, or something like that.
Oh no, we have met virtually.
Oh, okay.
We've had convenings consistently through the pandemic. We really focused a lot of the work that we did with the family-centered ARP funds were a discussion topic. I think Councilmember Ortiz was in a different role in some of those meetings, and so we did with the transition that we've just had with our mayor and council. We've reformed the executive committee. And the fall convening is tentatively scheduled in October, and you'll get a notice about that. We have the executive committee meeting coming up soon, which sets the agenda for the fall committee or for the fall full membership meeting.
Okay, great. No, because I think this is a good opportunity to actually have our 32 plus, or what is it, 30 plus school districts.
32 local education agencies.
Yeah, at the table, right? Especially when we offer programs like these, right? And so I think it's important to let them know that we have these programs and that we could all not operate in silos but work together, right, to ensure the success of our youth. But other than that, I mean, I'm just glad that we are incorporating the resiliency course, so that's extremely important. So yeah, I don't want to filibuster anymore. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you so much, Chair. Just really quickly, I just want to thank our great, hardworking staff in the San Jose Public Library Department for the excellent work that's been coming out of the San Jose Learns program. As a former school board member and as a County Board of Education member, I have good relationships with many trustees and school superintendents, and they just can't stop saying positive feedback in regards to this program. This program's really helping some of our most vulnerable youth throughout the city of San Jose. So I really just wanted to make sure that I gave you guys the kudos that you rightfully deserve. And I know I meet with Superintendent Dr. Hilaria Bauer from the Alum Rock School District, which takes up majority of my district. And when we were going through the budget, she was just like, make sure to fight for San Jose Learns. It's such an important program for our youth. So this is something that I'd love to see expand here in the city of San Jose. I know that Councilmember Torres was talking about looking for philanthropic partners. I think it may make sense in the future to develop a plan to make sure that all underrepresented areas of the city of San Jose have access to these real excellent services, because education is the great equalizer, and those young years determine someone's academic career, which would then determine their career and trajectory in life. So any support, I know that we're a city, but all agencies need to get involved in the success of our youth, which is our future generation. So just wanted to give you guys that shout out and just let you know I support it. And I guess I'll ask, is there any plans to expand the program as of now?
The great thing about this program, and thank you for commenting on the staff, because I do think that to implement a program like this that builds trusting relationships with so many different school districts and takes a lot of flexibility, it takes a real commitment to purpose and quality, and every single program is slightly different, but recognizing that we're moving in the right direction, and they all take care of that. So thank you to the staff as well. The great thing about this program, as reflected on the slide with the budget and in your memorandum, is that over the years, when there is, it is a model that when there is one-time funding available through some means, it can expand quickly, because there's always demand. There's always the willingness of the partner school districts to match that funding. And so there have been several years when council, found various pots of money, and the program increased by $500,000, $1 million, year on, year off. And in addition to that, the regular standard funding, which helps us have consistency, which is good. So I think it's a great program to put any kind of one-time funds. I'm doing my little advocacy. And so we expand whenever there's funding available, essentially. The model is built so that it can absorb as many different partners and school districts as are willing to participate. And to that point, when we used to hear back from the after-school program providers who partner with the districts, and I'm sure you've heard this a lot, Councilmember Ortiz, that they were at one point having a really hard time recruiting qualified staff to work in the programs. So then along came the Resilience Corps opportunity, and our team, who actually Lauren manages that as well. They leveraged the two programs together to provide qualified staff with a living wage to help out in those programs, and then the programs began to thrive again. So any opportunities that we have, we look for them and we'll expand as much as possible.
Okay. No, that's great. Really appreciate that answer. Can't expand if you don't have the money. Is there any like targeted areas you all are currently IDing that you'd want to expand in? Is there any sort of like vision of what would be like next steps?
I just asked Lauren which schools have asked for more, and she said all of them.
Oh, okay.
So I think we could expand with our current providers. I think that,
Oh, I see.
the earlier question was a good one, to reach out to districts that haven't participated as part of this kind of 5-year retrospective, and identify if they have need, if they already have their solution, and what other ideas they have for expanding.
And that makes sense, because some school districts may already have some sort of provider or service.
Right.
Maybe good to maybe have like a map to see where it's active and the spaces where it's not in the future. Just as a council member, we could know what like percentage of the city is covered and where the areas that could use more services. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. One is about the communities of practice. So the focus on the granting is about math and ELA, and the communities of practice really focused on social emotional learning. Can you connect the dots for me, why they talked about that as opposed to how we can improve our ELA and math pedagogy?
Absolutely. So I think I'll tee it up for Lauren because she knows a lot more about it. But I think the reality is they talk about both, but the schools and the learning partners really focus on the pedagogy and the data that we give them back every year through the assessment. Part of that conversation is what are we learning about the programs that will help students do better with the academic piece of it. But I think what the community of practice astutely identified very early on is that a student's academic performance is often impacted as a whole child experience, right? And there are other factors, and getting family engagement for especially children from low socioeconomic households and areas where perhaps they don't have the infrastructure to be successful in school was a major concern for our partners, and so the community of practice took that on. Do you want to give some more?
Yeah, we'll give a little context. Thank you for the question. There's been themes that come into the community of practice and sort of bubble up, and then sort of go out. And so early on in the community of practice in 2018, 2019, it was really around program quality, understanding the quality standards, looking at them, building a shared language, shared knowledge around the standards. As the community of practice got comfortable with that, we talked more about assessment. How do you assess student learning? How are your schools assessing student learning? What does that mean? Are we using the same assessments? Are we assessing at grade level? Are we assessing at, how are we doing that? And then in the pandemic, what was on the rise was social emotional learning and partnerships with schools, partnerships with program providers. How do we bring the school day into the after school and vice versa? And so it's definitely had some ebbs and flows around those topics. What's coming back up now is assessment and student learning in partnership with social emotional learning. And so there's two pathways happening, but what's represented here is the most recent work of social emotional learning. But absolutely, learning assessment, program quality, and partnering with each other is key themes in the community of practice.
I think that's great. I think having educators from across the different districts talking to each other is huge, and something that really no other convener probably could do other than the city. So I think that's a really important piece of this, and I am glad. I didn't actually know that we had that was part of this program. So I really appreciate that has been included, and it sounds like it's been a really rich discussion in multiple veins, which is great. And definitely having two kids high school age who went through the pandemic, and as I know Jill did, the social emotional learning doesn't stop even in adolescence and late adolescence, and it was a big impact for during the pandemic. So I didn't have a problem with it. I was just trying to make the connection. So I appreciate that. One of the things we didn't talk about today, and I didn't really see it in the report, and it might be because I'm new to this committee, as is the rest of the committee, that we don't know what is a student experience in the program. So what does their average day look like? I'm hoping it's not just like worksheets and a little bit more school after. So can you talk a little bit about what the programs actually look like and what grade levels are being served?
Yeah, absolutely. So in last spring, feels like last year, but it was only in March and April, we did, as a community of practice, site visits. So program providers from across the city and across the districts visited Campbell, Franklin McKinley, Alum Rock, and Luther Burbank. And those program providers were from the districts and then also from Boys and Girls Club, Catholic Charities Think Together. And so we went around once, twice a month and saw each other's programs. And it was wonderful for all of us to be together once again, but then also to see what each other are offering to our students. It ranges from ballet class to cooking class to reading about social emotional learning, acting out some of those feelings, talking about what it means to be upset or angry or happy or sad or things like that. Outside recreation and play, some homework, some academic success and support for specific math and ELA. So there's reading time, there's using their student library card time, there is work around reading skills, developing those behaviors, rituals, and routines that you need to be successful in English language arts and math. So I wouldn't exactly say that it's like tutoring, but that's those supportive habits that you need to be successful in school. So it ranges, as it should for an after-school program. So I know in Alum Rock, we watched a whole ballet class. In Campbell, we watched a group of students read a book and then dissect it afterwards and talk about that comprehension that they had through the book. And so on any given day, you could see any of those things, but that's typically what the programs look like.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. I also just wanted to say I think it's completely appropriate, and I really like that that families are included in the logic model and also in the program. Back before I was a council member and was working on a nonprofit that helped start charter schools, they talked about having different legs of the stool to support a student's learning, and the school had to be a leg of the stool. The student had to do the work, and the family had to be a leg of the stool. And I think us as the community being the fourth leg of the stool makes it even stronger. And I think it's really appropriate that you have families and that the programs have to incorporate having education for the families as well as part of the program. So I really appreciate this, and I just want to thank you for all your work and the team that I'm guessing you have a small team, because I know that's how we work in the city. So I just want to thank you for all your work and all that you do for the kids and with the districts. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember Torres, did you want to speak again?
Just move to approve.
Oh, thank you.
Second.
All right. Can I just do a verbal vote? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. No opposed. That passes unanimously. Thank you. And we move now to open forum.
Blair?
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Thanks for the item today. It was a short meeting. It was pretty good. Thank you. A compliment to Councilperson Ortiz and Cohen and others who are part of the trying to figure out good solutions to the what to do about RV encampments by schools. It looks like you're trying to work towards a real sensitive approach. Thank you immensely. You guys talked about it pretty well yesterday. It was pretty impressive. Thank you. Good luck in how to offer community solutions and ideas and not law enforcement. And you seem to be on that track. Thank you. I wanted to comment that a big deal to me living down in San Diego right now is we're starting to talk about body camera footage things. And I thought of yourselves, and you did some incredibly decent work on the subject a few years ago. You brought an item to Rules in Open Government about a woman who was a victim of crime, and she needed body camera footage to help her situation. You brought it to Rules in Open Government just to ask the question, you know, what is possible with this item? Can a victim of crime be allowed body camera footage? And that was just a really nice thing you guys did. And you tried to work around state law issues and what can be asked at the local level. And maybe we could set some precedents at the local level. I hope if I call yourselves and get some ask some questions around it, you can give myself some feedback, how it's going, how that sort of program is going. Accessibility is the goal here, and good luck how we can do that. And I'll hopefully be calling different council persons. I have already, and I'll follow up on that. Otherwise, good luck on good accountability practices and being aware and participatory democracy, all the good stuff. Thanks a lot.
Back to the committee.
Thank you. Our meeting is adjourned.